$50 million. That's the number lighting up every Gold Rush fan's screen right now. Because Parker Schnabel just hit the kind of gold strike that changes everything. The mine everyone thought was tapped out? Turns out it was hiding one of the richest deposits in Alaska. In a single week, Parker's crew pulled more gold than some miners see in a lifetime. The scales couldn't keep up. The cleanup plant ran non-stop. And Parker? He was already talking about pushing harder, digging deeper, and chasing even bigger pay. But this strike isn't just about gold, it's about survival, pride, and proving every critic wrong. This is the moment the season went from uncertain to unstoppable. And you're about to see exactly how it happened. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into the gold strike shaking the entire mining world. The morning over Alaska feels wrong. The frost hangs so thick in the air, it blurs the mountains into ghostly silhouettes. The stillness so absolute, even the ravens have gone silent. The horizon bleeds pale gold light across the snow, a fragile omen that refuses to warm the valley below. The camera drifts across a trail of frozen excavator tracks, each one already softening under fresh powder, as if the land is trying to erase them before the day begins. Up on the ridge, Parker stands motionless, hood drawn tight, gloves buried deep in his jacket pockets. His eyes never leave the valley floor. He's not just looking. He's calculating, dissecting the terrain, measuring every second of daylight against the risks waiting below. From deep under the ice, the steady, low grind of the test drill rises like a distant heartbeat. Crew members swear they can feel it through their boots, a vibration that settles in the bones. They don't talk much this morning, only muttered fragments about the core sample that came back off the charts. No one dares speak the actual number. They all know the mountain has been silent for too long, and silence in a place like this means one thing: something big is about to break. Weeks earlier, Parker had moved in the survey crew under the cover of darkness. No GPS logging, no local contractors, no chatter on the radio, just Parker and 5 men whose names never hit the paperwork. The satellite scans told a story that standard surveys missed: a dense metallic reflection buried beneath a collapsed glacier. Engineers had dubbed it the Gold Shadow because of how it warped the radar returns. The location was a nightmare: shifting ice, unstable rock, and no easy way in or out. Any other company would have shelved it for years of prep work. Parker chose secrecy instead. Even the Discovery film crew were steered towards safer sites, while this one stayed off the books. And then came the maps. Yellowed, frayed pages from an 1899 claim Parker dug out of a private archive. Records that spoke of a strike here that vanished from official history after a sudden avalanche swallowed both camp and crew. Now, the day of truth has come. The excavator roars to life, its buckets slamming into the glacier's surface. Sparks leap where frozen gravel hides shards of quartz, the noise cracking through the valley like a gunshot. Nature pushes back. A tremor ripples underfoot, shaking loose plumes of snow from nearby peaks. The crew freezes for half a heartbeat, unsure if they've triggered it or if the mountain is simply waking up. When the drill bites deeper, air bursts from the ice in long, whispering sighs, trapped for centuries, carrying with it a cold, metallic tang that tastes of the Earth's oldest layers. On the monitors, the numbers jump, gold density rising with every meter, each reading brighter than the last. Then, a blip on the seismic feed, the unmistakable echo of a hollow space far below them. Parker studies the outline, a vast void shaped like an ancient river channel waiting to be opened. He doesn't speak, just gives a sharp nod toward the rig. The crew pivots instantly, swapping out the standard bit for a reinforced coring head. Every movement is deliberate, the air taut with the knowledge that one wrong push could collapse the ice above the void. The winch hums, cable tightening as the drill descends again, boring into the channel's frozen lip. The sound is different now, deeper, resonant, like striking the walls of a buried cathedral. The drill crew works fast but with surgical care, easing the fresh core out of the casing like it's a relic. Parker hovers nearby, silent, arms folded, eyes locked on the cylinder of frozen earth. The geologist slides it onto the inspection bench, the brittle ice hissing faintly as warm air touches it. Then the first split, the core cracking open down the middle, and the air in the tent changes. There it is. Gold. Not just dust, not faint specks, but thick, molten-looking streaks running through the quartz like veins in marble. It's so vivid it doesn't need magnification. Even the dull tent light can't mute the gleam. For a long beat, nobody speaks. Then a low, shaky laugh breaks out from the sluice operator, quickly followed by another from the drill hand, both equal parts disbelief and relief. One mutters that the last time he saw visible gold like this was behind a museum display case. The assay tech doesn't waste time. Samples are shaved, weighed, dissolved, analyzed. When the results print, the number seems to vibrate in Parker's hand. 96% purity. Almost impossible. Almost Klondike legend levels. Word spreads across the camp without a single word being shouted. Old-timers drift toward the tent, muttering about a story that's been told in bars for generations. The Glacier Vein. A mythical feeder deposit that bled gold into every major Yukon river, but could never be traced. Parker doesn't smile. He doesn't celebrate. He just folds the report and says, "Nobody talks about this." Not yet. The lockdown order hits within the hour. All non-essential personnel are told to clear the site. The gates are closed, guards posted in shifts, radios set to secure channels. Even the Discovery film crew is relocated to the secondary dig miles away. Then comes the logistics surge. Twin-rotor choppers thump overhead every hour, dropping fuel drums, generator crates, crates of rigging gear. Portable floodlight towers sprout around the excavation pit, turning the valley floor into a glowing fortress. The silence doesn't last. A voice crackles over the shortwave, gravelly, amused, unmistakable. Tony Beats. "Boy, you're in over your head." No follow-up, no location ping. Just the message, like a warning carved in ice. It's not paranoia that makes Parker scan the ridgelines more often. Word leaks fast in mining country. Within 2 days, temporary camps start popping up in adjacent valleys. Prospectors and small claim crews hoping to ride the ripples of whatever Parker's hit. Then the satellite images arrive. Unmarked trucks and tracked vehicles parked just outside his boundary lines, too close to be passing through. Some stay overnight. Some vanish into the tree line. All of them make Parker tighten the perimeter. The real shift comes at dawn on the 3rd day. The excavator bucket punches through an ice wall with a sound like splintering glass, revealing an open void. Lights swing down into the gap, beams catching on jagged blue ice that arcs like cathedral vaulting overhead. It's a cavern, a hollow vault that could swallow half the camp. Down in the darkness, a glimmer moves with the water. At first, it looks like dust motes in the beam, until someone realizes the flecks are gold, rolling over stone in the slow current of a subterranean river. The air inside is razor cold, -20 even in full sun. Frost forms on every steel surface, creeping over gloves in minutes. Heavy equipment won't survive long here. Oil thickens, hydraulics groan. So the crew does it the old way. Waders, thermal suits, and buckets. They stand knee-deep in the glacial stream, scooping gold-laced gravel by hand, pouring it into sledges to be hauled back up. By nightfall, the sluice mats look unreal. Gold flakes catching every bit of lamplight, small nuggets rolling down the riffles. The tally comes back at just over $1 million from a single day's work. And Parker knows they haven't even touched the main deposit yet. The river keeps whispering under the ice, carrying more than just water. It's carrying proof that the glacier vein is real. And it's sitting right under his boots. That whisper follows him back to camp, threading into every conversation, lingering in the corners of his mind as the night closes in. Hours later, the crew sleeps. The wind gnaws at the tent walls. Parker sits in the assay tent alone, the lamplight cutting deep shadows across his face. On the table in front of him, a gold bar fresh from the pour, still warm to the touch. Most miners would call it right there. Take the win. Lock the gold away. Let the season close on a high note. But Parker's never been most miners. He stares at the maps, the seismic scans, the old weathered journal pages spread around the table. The journal is brittle, pages loose and yellowed, but the words are still sharp. A mother river, older than the hills, richer than the Yukon, flows unseen beneath the ice. The hand-sketched map shows a twisting channel running straight under where Parker's operation now stands. No one alive has ever found it, until now. The geological overlays confirm the impossible. His glacier cavern sits on the exact trajectory of that ancient waterway. If it's still intact, it could feed multiple gold pockets bigger than anything mined in the Klondike's glory days. The geologists have been blunt. Breach that channel, and you could be staring down a catastrophic flood, one that would take men, machines, and the entire camp with it. Parker just leans back, eyes on the gold bar, and mutters, "If the river's still there, it's mine." At dawn, the order goes out. Expand the dig. No half measures. Crews rotate in 12-hour shifts, cutting deeper into the glacier walls. Cameras are mounted on dredge heads and submersible rigs to map every inch of the cavern floor. That's when they see it. Clouds of gold dust billowing up in slow spirals with every bucket of gravel drifting through the water like smoke in sunlight. Every load brought to the surface is heavier, richer. Massive boulders emerge from the sluice with visible seams of gold running through them, the metal catching light even under layers of frost. Some pieces are so rich they have to be broken down before the plant can process them. The numbers explode. Daily yields shatter Parker's personal records, eclipsing his best Klondike week by 5 times over. The $50 million projection that seemed like a far-off goal at the season's start? They blow past it in weeks, with pay dirt still untouched. But secrecy can't survive numbers like this. One night, a single blurry photo hits the internet. Piles of gold bars and buckets of nuggets stacked under floodlights. The caption claims it's from an undisclosed Alaskan location. But the mining world isn't stupid. The speculation points straight to Parker. By the time Parker sees the leak, it's already gone viral. That's when the chopper comes in low over the valley, rotor wash kicking up snow in swirling cyclones. Tony Beats steps out. No greeting, no smirk, just a slow walk across the pit toward the processing area. He runs a hand over the sluice mats, lifts a nugget the size of a fist, and stares at it for a long time before setting it down. Still silent, he turns and walks the length of the camp, taking it all in like he's measuring something only he understands. The next hit doesn't come from a rival crew. It comes from the mining board, an official notice demanding Parker produce full proof of claim ownership within the week. The letter's language is all polite formality, but the meaning's clear. Someone's trying to pry this ground out from under him. Parker already suspects who. He's seen the fresh cut lines in the snow just over the ridges, the fresh tailings piles where no legal claim exists. He knows rival operators have been sampling gravel on the edges of his boundary, testing the runoff for traces of his gold. So he goes on the offensive. Paperwork is filed for a strategic mineral classification, a rare legal shield that, if granted, will lock the claim from any outside interference for years. It's a gamble. The board doesn't hand those out unless there's undeniable proof the deposit's both massive and irreplaceable. Meanwhile, the internet turns the leak into a wildfire. Hashtags like War Glacier Gold, and Tsha, Alaska's biggest strike, flood mining forums and social media feeds. Grainy screenshots circulate, armchair experts breaking down every pixel to prove it's Parker's site. The world now knows something big is happening in the Alaska ice, and every eye is watching to see if Parker Schnabel can keep it. That's when Parker notices it. Not on a monitor, but in the air. A low, steady vibration through the frozen ground, like the mountain itself has shifted in its sleep. The stream feeding the lower sluices runs faster, darker. Somewhere deep inside the glacier, pressure is building. The crew works on, but Parker's gut says this is more than runoff from a warm patch. He's halfway to the comms rig to call for a safety sweep when the mountain answers. The ice dam doesn't break with a crack. It goes with a roar. A rolling wall of meltwater, supercharged by an early thaw upstream, comes charging down the hidden channels, hammering into the chamber like a liquid freight train. The floodlights flicker, men shout over the deafening echo, and Parker doesn't hesitate. The order is given. Drop the buckets, leave the rigs, move. Steel tracks grind to a halt mid-haul, and machines worth millions are left to drown in the rushing black water. In seconds, the rich pay gravel piled high along the sluices is gone, sucked into the torrent like it had never existed. The chamber walls shudder, the ice groans, and slabs of frozen ceiling crash down, sealing off their main access. It's over. Or so everyone thinks. But then, in the chaos of the retreat, headlamps caught something strange, a gap in the far wall, half hidden behind a curtain of ice. The flood had torn away a frozen barrier, revealing a narrow, twisting tunnel. It was just wide enough for a man to crawl through, and from its depths came the faint, unmistakable glint of mineral-rich gravel. The glacier vein wasn't done with them yet. There was no time to celebrate. Temperatures were dropping hard, and the forecast promised a deep freeze in less than 48 hours. If the ground locked up, they wouldn't just lose the gold, they'd lose the site entirely until the following season. The decision was instant. No sleep, no breaks. Work until the last possible minute. Crews rotated like clockwork, hands blistered, faces wind-burned, every man and woman working under the glare of roaring floodlights that turned the ice walls a ghostly blue. The sound of diesel engines and high-pressure pumps became a constant mechanical heartbeat in the frozen dark. To keep up, Parker rolled out the ace he'd been saving. A massive custom-built super sluice, flown in piece by piece and assembled on site. It could chew through double the normal pay dirt, wringing every last flake from the glacier-fed gravel. Day bled into night, night into day, with the only measure of time being the growing stacks of gold bars in the weigh shack. Breath turned to frost in the air, the crew's movement slowed by exhaustion and cold, but the pile kept growing. And then, as the first pale light of dawn hit the ridges, the number landed. $50 million. Counted, sealed, and locked away before the final shift ended. Parker stayed behind as the others packed up. Alone in the weighroom, he lifted one of the bars. Heavy, cold, dense with history. Frost had crept over the windows, framing his reflection with ice. He didn't smile. This wasn't the end. Not here. Not with what they'd seen in that tunnel. By nightfall, the gold was gone from camp, not sold, not sent to a bank. Vaulted away in a private location Parker refused to disclose, even to his closest crew. But word travels fast in the Yukon. Rumors lit up every claim from Dawson to Nome. Whispers that Parker had only taken 20% of what was down there, that the real heart of the glacier vein was still untouched. With the rumors came the old stories again. The curse of the vein, a superstition passed down by prospectors who swore that anyone who tried to take it all would lose everything one way or another. The season closed in silence, but the network didn't let it end quietly. The teaser for next year flashed across the screen. Parker, standing over a massive glacier map, finger-stabbing at 3 red-marked anomalies. "We've only just started digging," he said, voice low, eyes locked on the camera. The shot lingered, the mountains looming behind him like sleeping giants. The mountains not done talking yet. If you just witnessed the wildest gold strike Alaska's ever seen, don't just sit there, hit that like button so we know you're with us for the next haul. Subscribe and ring that bell, because when Parker dives back into that glacier, you're not going to want to hear about it secondhand. Drop your theories in the comments. Curse or legend? What's really hiding under that ice?